Hello, fight fans. This is Kenny B with his co-host Robert Bird, known as the Birdman. How you doing, Birdman?
I'm doing well, man. Fighting a little cold, but I'm here.
You here? That's
I'm
the
here.
main thing. You here to go the distance too. Fight fans. Today's topic on the official tips is the mouthpiece, and a lot of people see the mouthpiece only when it gets dislodged from a fighter's mouth. But before we get started on the mouthpiece, we wanted you to see a quick video in the situation of when a mouthpiece is dislodged, and we want you to just follow this fight. And as you can see, the fighter in the dark trunks is throwing a little light jab, and his opponent is kind of circling around, but you're going to have to watch real close. Matter of fact, the mouthpiece has already been knocked out. The referee has picked it up, and the referee is staying close, keeping an eye on the fighter, especially the fighter that the mouthpiece was dislodged from. And now, when there's a lull in the action, you can see that the referee has went over, put the mouthpiece back in, and the fight will, at that point in time, continue. Now, the point that I want to make, going back in my career when I was refereeing, is when a fighter's mouthpiece got dislodged from a punch, I would call time, take the fighter that dislodged the mouthpiece from his opponent and put him in a neutral corner. I would take that fighter that mouthpiece was dislodged, take him over to his corner, get them to wash it, clean it off, and then they would stick it back into his mouth, and then the fight at that time would resume.
Yeah, and Kenny, one of the things that I want to bring out is why would you do that? Why would you, that thing hit out and hit the canvas, you take it over and get it washed off? Well, the history is this. Back in the day, okay, boxers used to wear a lot of leather-soled shoes, and there was a rosin box either in the ring or by the ring, and fighters would get in and they would, rub their shoes in that rosin. Well, that rosin would go up into the ring, and therefore, when a fighter's mouthpiece got knocked out with that rosin on the ring, basically for sanitary reasons,
yes,
you would take that mouthpiece, go over, get it washed off, and put it back in. Now, that's changed because most shoes today are not. They're not. Number one, we don't use the rosin box anymore.
Right.
Number two, most of the soles of the shoes are rubber.
Yes.
Or some other thing. So, and we've talked to a number of doctors, you and I, and basically what they've said is there's no great danger in taking that mouthpiece and then turning it right back in.
Right.
So that's where we are. But those things drove boxing to come up with a rule relative to the mouthpiece. And in the Uniform Championship rules, and you're going to talk about that,
yes,
what that rule about the mouthpiece is.
Yes, the Association of Boxing Commissions got together, and I'm going to read to you the mouthpiece rule. The mouthpiece rule says all professional boxers are required to wear a mouthpiece during competition. The round cannot begin without the mouthpiece. If the mouthpiece is dislodged during competition, the referee will call time and have the mouthpiece replaced at the first opportune moment without interfering with the immediate action. Points may be deducted by the referee if he feels the mouthpiece is being purposely spit out. So,
well, and that's interesting because that's what the rule is today. But back in the day, in the 1980s,
yes,
okay, this rule wasn't in effect. Okay, in the 1980s, the mouthpiece was only being replaced in between rounds.
yes,
Okay, and so that led to a belief that the loss of the mouthpiece negatively affected, but there was a change in attitudes. That's what I'm really trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's attributed to Larry Hazard Sr., who is the athletic commissioner in the state of New Jersey. He was the one who got together with the sanctioning bodies, and they came up with the new mouthpiece rule, okay, which basically said that if you say that you're concerned about the safety of the fighter, then this this mouthpiece is an essential piece of equipment, because what it will do, it will circumvent a fighter uh, uh, a fighter losing teeth, getting teeth dislodged, getting his teeth stuck into his lip. All of those things prompted him to say, if we're really concerned about the boxer's safety, this is something that we need to really look at and we need to change so to better protect the fighter. And it also protects against, in some cases, because the mouthpiece for professional boxers has to be, or is supposed to be, a fitted mouthpiece. And a fitted mouthpiece will also help to stabilize the jaw so that you don't get jaw injuries. So Mr. Hazard was the author of that.
Right.
And as we can see, he talks about how he got those people together and came up with the mouthpiece rule.
Yes.
That we utilize today.
Yes.
Yes.
So as a referee, there were things that I saw. I said, this needs to change. And I'm going to show you some very simple things. The mouthpiece rule. I started that. Before the mouthpiece get knocked out, it would stay out. Do you know how many times I would kick the mouthpiece out of the, over the canvas until about, okay? I said, whoa, if the mouthpiece is a safety device, then if it comes out, it should be replaced. So we started the replacement of the mouthpiece. Then we started having championship fights. You had all these sanctioning organizations, and everybody wanted to be all powerful. These are our rules. How are you going to have one sport with 5, 6 different rule sets?
Yeah.
So I said, well, it would be nice if we developed one set of unified rules for championship fights. Hey, look, let's get all the sanctioning organizations together.
Now, in reading the Association of Boxing Commission rules, at the very last line that I read, and I'm going to repeat it, and that was, if points can be deducted by a referee if he feels the mouthpiece has been purposely spit out. Now, we have a clip, and we want you to watch this clip, fight fans, in the situation of a fighter spitting it out, taking it out. It's all the same. It wasn't dislodged from a punch. This fight is between Diego Corrales, when Diego Corrales fought Jose Castillo.
This is actually a classic.
Yes,
it really is a classic.
Yes, the referee is Tony Weeks. And I believe this is round 10. There goes Diego. He goes down, and while his back is to us now, but he took his mouthpiece out, or he spit it out. And Tony gives him a mandatory 8 count, checks him to make sure that he's okay. Then you see Tony call timeout. Corrales' trainer is up in the ring, putting the mouthpiece back in, like I mentioned earlier with the way I used to do it. I used to take him to the corner to put the mouthpiece in, and you see then Diego get hit with a couple of more shots, and he goes down, and you can see with his left hand, he took the mouthpiece out. Tony gives him a mandatory 8 count. When he gets up, Tony checks to see if he's okay. Then Tony takes a point, as you can barely see it in the footage. But then he again takes Diego over to his corner and has his corner put the mouthpiece back in. Now, one may say, well, is he buying time? Well, Sure, he's buying time. That's why he took the mouthpiece out.
Mm-hmm.
But 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 again, uh, uh, point deductions at the discretion of the referee can be deducted, and or if it continues, a referee can disqualify a fighter.
Yes, which now I had the opportunity to do that only once in my career. It was a fight between Jeremy Williams and Bert Cooper,
Yes.
and Cooper was repeatedly, the mouthpiece was repeatedly coming out. Once when it was knocked out, we spit it out. The bottom line was it wasn't a fitted mouthpiece, which is required.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the requirement, and so he couldn't keep it in.
Right.
Well, the bottom line is if you can't keep it in, then you become a hazard to yourself.
Yes.
And so eventually, after I got to the third one, I said, you know what, that's it, and I disqualified it.
Yeah.
So disqualification is definitely one of the things that you can do.
Yes.
In when a mouthpiece is consistently coming
Yes.
out based upon, whether it's being knocked out
Yes.
or spit out.
Yes, exactly. And fight fans, we want you to understand that how serious the mouthpiece is, and we need to explain how serious it is, because when fighters report to their dressing room, when referees goes in to give instructions, I always made it a habit that while I was going through the instructions, and I got to the point of the mouthpiece, I would ask the trainer to let me see the mouthpiece. And there would be oftentimes, especially if it was a title fight or a mega fight in the state of Nevada, we would ask that they have two mouthpieces. In the event one gets dislodged in a way that you can't find it, and in past fights it has happened, then you have a backup mouthpiece. Then, when the fighter leaves the dressing room, when they go to the ring, we get in, we check their trunks, we check their boots or their shoes to make sure that they're laced and taped up so that they don't come loose in the ring. And we then again ask the trainer to let me see the mouthpiece to make sure that they got it, because that fight cannot start unless that mouthpiece is in the mouth.
Yeah, and one of the things that has caused a change in how referees utilize this rule today is because, old time trainers used to, and both of us have worked with them.
Yes,
we
have.
know who they
Yes,
are.
we have.
Okay, you would go over and take the mouthpiece over to wash it off, and they would take their time washing it off and putting it back in, therefore gaining a little. Sometimes they would drop it, and I can't
Yes.
find it.
Yes.
And so again, giving their fighter another advantage. So what has happened is that we've taken all of that thing into consideration.
Yes.
In every sport and in life, things evolve. And
Yes.
so some of the things that you see nowadays, a lot of referees, when that thing comes out, we don't have to worry about rosin anymore.
Yes.
Okay, doctors say there's no bait issue, with just picking it up and putting it back in. So
Right.
you see a lot of referees are doing that now, and that's taking away some of those stalling tactics that
Yes.
they used to use.
Yes.
So like I said, everything evolves. Our sport is evolving, and these are some of the things that ultimately I think help the fight continue to its natural course
Yes.
at its proper flow, and allows the referee a bit more discretion in handling that kind of situation.
Yeah. You brought up a point, and when we talk about years past, and we're talking about this mouthpiece, there was a situation, and I know this is rare. I've never heard of it happening since the time that it was explained to me what happened with a mouthpiece. Two fighters were exchanging in the ring. One fighter got hit, the mouthpiece got dislodged and went out. And at the lull of the action, the referee stopped the action and tried to find the mouthpiece, and they couldn't find it. Mm-hmm. And they looked everywhere around, all down, even down on ground floor looking for the mouthpiece and could not find it. Well, what had happened was when the mouthpiece was dislodged from the fighter's mouth, it went out of the ring by one of the judges and ended up in his suit pocket. Did you hear me, fans? It ended up in his suit pocket. He didn't notice that it went in there. So now they're looking for the mouthpiece because the fight cannot continue. So when I mentioned earlier about having two mouthpieces,
Yes, right.
that's what caused the two mouthpiece rule, because you just never know. When that mouthpiece leaves that ring, it could go in a pocket, it can hit the ground and go under the ring. We don't know. So the importance of two mouthpieces will take and eliminate that being a problem.
Yeah. And in some rare cases, very rare cases, depending on the action that has gone on with the mouthpiece and the boxer and everything, one of the last things that we can do, and I did say in rare cases, we can recommend administrative action. We can recommend fines. You know what the rules were. You didn't obey those rules.
Yes.
And that's had maybe a negative effect on the promotion itself. So administrative action get in. So we have a number of tools in our toolbox.
Yes.
in dealing with the mouthpiece. We can, cautions. That's always done out there. Point deductions.
Yes.
Multiple point deductions.
Yes.
Disqualification.
Yeah.
And finally, in rare cases, some administrative action. So all of these tools we have in our toolbox to deal with this mouthpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, rare occasions have happened. Rare occasions have happened with me. You talked earlier about injuries and teeth getting loosened. I did a fight years ago, and all of a sudden I see a tooth laying on the ground from a fighter. And I stopped the action, pick up. It was difficult for me to get that tooth up in my hands, but eventually when I did, I looked into the fighter's mouth, and his mouth was bleeding. I took him over to the doctor. I had to call time. Took him over to the doctor, and the kid was still ready to fight and wanted to continue. It was rare that this happened to me, but he was so energetic and wanted to fight. I let the fight continue.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I let the fight continue. Yeah. And then when I was an inspector with the commission, I remember this happening, which was many years ago. The fight had ended, and the doctor climbed in the ring and was examining the fighter, and the fighter kept saying, "My teeth. I'm losing some. I can't feel my teeth." And the doctor looked and looked and looked and said, "No, son, your jaw's broke."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And apparently his teeth were out of alignment from top to bottom. So when he bit down, he didn't feel the left side of his teeth because of the breakage.
Yeah, and all of these things simply go to the mandate that we have as professional boxing referees. It's critical that we do everything we can to provide for and ensure the safety of the boxer.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's what this official tip today has been about. And we hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you found it educational, because that is one of the main reasons why we do this podcast, to help educate you, the fans out there. And by the way, we do have merchandise that you can purchase from the official call, and we invite you to do that. If you enjoy the program, please comment, subscribe, and like.
Sounds good, Birdman. Well, I think we're finishing up. There is more to talk about in regards to the mouthpiece, but we don't want to give it all to you right now. We want to save some for later, which is stuff that I didn't know until the Birdman brought it up to me before this show, which is going to be interesting, I know, for you to hear. But in any case, this wraps up the official tips. We thank you for tuning in, and always remember, what I say you must obey.
And the next time we do this, that's what we're going to do. So, Kenny, let's do this.
Let's do it.